Because when you sit down at a table with one other person, somebody's going to lose one of those games every single time. And I know that there are niche cases, John, where there are cards that say the game ends in a draw. I know what you're about to pull out here.
That was some brother versus brother stuff. That was sick.
I wear the glasses so I could do actually.
Actually.
They're just a prop.
Hello, welcome one and all Magic fans and newcomers alike to the MTG Thoughtcast. I am your host, Joseph Rubino, and in these other tiles are my friends Jared and John, and we make up the MTG Thoughtcast. Above me, or below me somewhere, is my blood brother, John Kendall. John, how you doing today, man?
That's me. Hi there. We're fine.
Doing good?
Yep. Life's okay.
Nice. That's a resounding yes from John.
Resounding.
And then elsewhere on the screen is Jared Bobier.
How's it going?
What's going on, my man?
Bro, just having a blast. Life is great.
Wow.
I'm having a great time.
That's significantly better than what John said. So
Wow.
John said fine and life is okay.
You did. But
I'm nothing if brutally honest.
Yeah,
it's true. Honestly, it's true. You are usually right, though. I will say, I actually really like passing ideas through you, John, because you're very blunt with me, and you're usually right about it. So,
well, someone's got to tell you that you're wrong.
Honestly, somebody does, because I will go through my life confidently believing that I am correct about things that are wildly incorrect. So,
you gotta have somebody that has objectivity.
Yeah. Grateful for my counsel is all I'm saying.
Yes. If anything,
we're here to make sure you're making the right choices, like hopping down to the bottom of this video and doing like and subscribe.
That's right. That's the correct choice to make. There's a ton of buttons down there. Just go ahead and click them all. There's a like, there's a comment, there's a subscribe. Just like tell us hey. We'll probably tell you hey back. And then also down there is a link to our Discord, to the MTG Thoughtcast community Discord, where you can jump in, hang out with us. We're hanging out there all the time, giving out deck advice, doing, we just instituted our looking for a game channel. So we've got a lot more people doing Spell Table lately. So if you're looking for a place to play Commander regularly, our channel is now well equipped for that. So shouts out the LFG channel and mostly the guys in Colombia who use it. To both meet up at their LGS and also jump on Spell Table.
You guys rule. Thank you so much.
Yeah, shouts out to Colombia. This is for all of you guys.
We're also super appreciative of all the people who have been recently viewing us a lot more recently. Our last episode has had, since we began this channel, has had our biggest spike in interaction with our videos and views and comments and things like that. So thank you, seriously, from all of us. It's we've never seen that kind of surge before. As I just checked at time of recording from just a little while ago, that one of our Fallout videos, the one that has had the most views, has surpassed 1.8 thousand views on it. So
that's insane. 1.8K.
So if any of y'all are here, if any of y'all are here watching us still, thank you. We really genuinely appreciate you.
Yeah. We love you all. Grateful to have you here. Glad that our content's connecting with you. And that actually is a great segue into I think today's episode. Since we have so many new people, this is going to be a good introductory episode to me at least. I wanted to. I've had this idea kind of floating around. I've been playing Magic for the better part of 13 years now, with some offs and ons, but it has been my largest hobby and the biggest part of my life for the last over a decade. And there's a lot of strategy that I have learned about the game that I think makes you better at the game that has subsequently helped make my life better. So this is kind of a Venn diagram episode of talking about Magic strategy and ways to get better at the game that I have personally used in my own life at being a better person. So we're going to pepper a little bit of that in, but consider this a strategy episode, but also just a like get to know me episode a little bit better.
Speaking of getting to know you, I think that you just had a birthday, right?
I did. I just turned 27.
You feel a year wiser?
I do. You know, it was a good year. I had a baby this year. We started the Thoughtcast this year. There was a lot of new beginnings this year.
Best year.
Totally. Yeah. But I think my best days are ahead of me.
And you had a promotion as well, didn't you?
I did get promoted at my job. There's a lot of things happening for me. I'm a busy boy.
Let's go. That's so awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive into the episode. Because I'd like to consider myself a good Magic player. I think I'm pretty good at this game. John disagrees.
I would agree with you. I would agree that you're great.
I feel pretty good at it, you know?
Consistently play pre-releases and do well or win them. Both of you do, actually.
Yeah, I have
great work.
I played at a semi-professional level at one point in my life. And like I've top baited Pro Tour qualifiers. I have metrics to show that I'm decent at this game. And I'm a big statistics guy and I like quantifying things. And I think that there are certain reasons why I'm good at this game that I would like to share with maybe somebody could take this and start applying it to get better at the game as well. So I've got basically 4 points of this. Welcome to my TED Talk. 4 points. First thing, and I think the biggest part of getting really good at playing this game is playing to your outs. So what I mean by that is not following any type of script that you have in your mind for how the game is going to play out. It's a constant reevaluation of what's the next best thing that I can do in this game that's going to get me one step closer to winning the game. So like another way to word it would be like doing the best that you can with the hand that you're dealt. That would be playing to your outs. So like in Magic, that would be like, okay, we're turn 6, turn 7. We're approaching, kind of the mid game, the late game, and you're not drawing the cards that you need. So you can either concede in that moment and go, well, I don't have the pieces that I need. That's okay. Maybe next time. Or you can play to your outs and just go, okay, reevaluating the situation here. What's the next best thing that I can do? I can, kind of pivot. I can find a new strategy. I can, try to shift my game plan in the moment and be flexible and be fluid. And I think that that's one of the most important parts of being really good at this game is staying fluid and staying flexible throughout the game with your game plan.
I would definitely agree with that. I think it also is like setting yourself up for a more enjoyable game experience overall because it's less frustrating to you if you're already prepared. Like, I think a lot of people get mad in this game because they have people interact with them or use counter magic and like, oh no, they played the game. Like if you like are allowed to take game actions that negatively impact your opponents and increase your chances of winning, so is everyone else. So if you can't handle like, oh God, that was so frustrating because so-and-so played a Swords to Plowshares, which is like literally like one of the top 2 cards that gets included in every single deck that it can be played in. Like you can't get mad when people do that, and being able to pivot, change direction on the fly and still make the most of whatever situation you're in, even if it's bad. And sometimes it's just like having a better attitude at losing because sometimes it's not. Yeah,
even playing to your outs and being flexible and pivoting is not always going to lead to a win.
Exactly. But it's not a guarantee.
You at least tried. You at least set yourself up.
And you had a better time doing it because you weren't like, oh, God, my only game plan or whatever. It's like, okay, maybe your out now is like, oh, how do I have the most fun? Even though this is my last turn and I'm definitely not going to win. Like that can be your new out. And it's like, that's just a way more healthy way of playing this game where you set yourself up to have a better time no matter what happens in the game. So I love it.
John, thoughts?
Because obviously the caveat there is like, it's like as long as everyone is still like playing fairly, you know, like if you're getting, there's a difference between needing to pivot to your outs because you're getting targeted as the winner, or you found a play group where someone's just being a bully for the sake of being a bully. This doesn't apply to that. If you have a toxic play group, that's a completely different matter.
Right.
But if you're not feeling the urge to like try to pivot your strategy or not like feel salty because someone is interacting with what you're trying to do, then I mean,
Totally.
you gotta just apply yourself there.
Right.
Exactly.
I think another piece of this too is diversifying yourself and diversifying what you can do in situations. I think a hurdle to get over as a new player is my deck does this thing. Like if we're talking specifically about Commander, it's like, okay, I do this thing. I have this combo and that's how I win. Or I have this one win con and that's how I'm going to win the game. And you spend every game trying to get to that. First of all, if you're playing with the same play group over and over, it's not going to work every time. Once you get somebody with it once, everybody's going to be prepared for it. So if you can diversify yourself and diversify what you can do in situations, you're going to be able to be more flexible and to pivot. So you're going to have more headroom to be able to go, okay, I'm going to shift right now. I have to switch away from this combo and I have to go more mid-range right now. I have to go more combat focused because the board's open right now. Like it's just constantly reevaluating, and you're right. You have to have the tools to be able to do that. So I would say that diversifying is kind of a nice bracket onto this of being able to do that.
I was going to say, I think that's great because I think a lot of the times Magic becomes solitaire by accident. And
Totally.
I'll explain what I mean by that. Like people can very often, like myself included, get to the point where it's like, I have 7+ cards in my hand. I'm looking at all my options and I'm so busy sequencing what I'm doing in my brain and like how I'm going to take my next turn or 3 turns or whatever it is. Like I get so busy focused on how I'm going to play the game that I forget there are at least 2 to 3 other people in this game that are going to take game actions that impact my decision making.
Yeah.
And like, the best thing for me to do is like, I can have a game plan, but I have to like allow that game plan to be flexible. If my game plan isn't flexible, then my deck is probably bad. Like if you build a deck that only has one way to win the game and oh no, someone's played against it before, guess what? They literally, from the very minute you draw the first card, they know everything they know to stop you from winning. So that could even be a deck building issue. But yeah, go ahead.
It doesn't even necessarily mean that it's a bad plan. It just means that it's the plan that you have. So like if it doesn't go the way that you want it to, then you're just kind of out of luck. Like if you have not built in plan B, plan C, plan D, and like you've got this, I mean, like I would call that a glass cannon of like, look, we're either going to like win or backfire. Like that's like a storm deck would be a decent like idea for this, or picture that for what this is.
The ad nauseum like Thoracle combo, like that's a pretty glass cannon thing where it's like that's a CDH thing. For those of you who don't know what it is, you exile your whole library and the Thoracle trigger goes on the stack, and oh no, you can't draw enough cards, you win the game. So like, but if someone stops you, if someone stifles your Thoracle trigger, and that's the last card in your deck, guess who loses on your next turn?
Yeah.
So, and that's like a very, very real thing that could happen.
Very regularly.
Like, yeah, that could be your out. It's like, oh, I have one exact way to win this game. So every other card in this deck has to support that strategy. And if you're not like understanding that correctly, then yeah, that's going to be an issue for you in the game. So
yeah.
Anyway, play to your outs. I think it's great.
John, are you a safety valve guy when you build decks?
Yeah, I was gonna say that like needing to have a coherent strategy across your entire thing, so that like if pivoting is necessary, it isn't something that like drastically changes what you're trying to do. That's why I'm a big purveyor of battlecruiser style decks. Right? It's like you don't need to pivot too hard when you're doing battlecruiser. Your big monster just got blown up. Fantastic. Here's another one.
Totally.
Here's another one.
You're playing into exactly what I'm saying here, which is like you have multiple threats and you have multiple different ways to get your out.
Yeah, so like, people need to play more battlecruiser.
Yeah, play more battlecruiser. This is John's life lesson. But I would say just as a quick note there of like this has taught me a lot in life of like when things don't go your way and you don't have a safety valve, you don't have a way to pivot, like you get pretty screwed pretty fast. So I would say this is the number one way that Magic has taught me about life is being able to play to your outs, being able to be flexible and pivot, and you won't find yourself upset when things don't go your way.
That's a good topic to add into as far as like becoming better as a deck builder is like if you're not that interested in trying to be able to pivot your strategy too much, build your deck in such a way that it has redundancy built in.
Yeah.
If your combo can be done by another set of cards entirely, have that in there too. If it lines up with the strategy you're trying to do, or have multiples. Like, you know, Magic is a very, very large game now at this point. The likelihood of a standalone card that you have built around having only it be the only thing in the entire game that does what you're looking to do, very slim.
Yeah.
You know?
We actually right before the episode, we were talking about Palinchron and about Peregrine Drake. And we're like, oh, well, you don't need to have your Palinchron, or if you own a Palinchron or whatever, like you might as well have Peregrine Drake as well. They do functionally the same thing in ways that are trying to win with exploiting land untaps. So I love it, John. That's a great point.
Yeah, it is.
As a new owner of a Palinchron myself.
Yeah, sure your Palinchron. Real quick, just
graded Palinchron.
Our quick sidebar.
Shouts out my boy Palinchron. That graded 8 foil Palinchron.
Pretty slick.
Shout out Whatnot.
I kind of went through and kind of made some points of my own, and I was looking through some of the ones that I think kind of line up with this thought of like playing to your outs is
dude.
Like I have something written down that says sometimes the best play is, or in outside of Magic, or the thing to do in life is just whatever's the most enjoyable thing to do at the time.
Yeah, dude.
That's obviously with a huge asterisk at the end. You can't just like break the law because you feel like it. So don't hear that. That's not what I'm saying.
There's boundaries to that.
It's not going your way.
Shieldred, I'm going to rip it in half. Here's 2 pieces of Shieldred. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But sometimes, like, you just have to do the fun thing. And it's objectively the technical worst decision, but it's just a way more fun thing to do.
Yes.
And that is like, I think something too, as a sidebar or side note that I can just say here is like, this is a game. And like, I think a lot of people become like very obsessive about this game, which is cool. Like, if you care about this that much, clearly we are all in that boat. We care about it enough to run a podcast and put all the effort in that like this requires. We're clearly all in that boat, but I think we can take that a little bit too far in the wrong direction sometimes, where we're all like trying to like go through statistics and like upgrade our play style or our decks or whatever, just to like get the incremental value to be better. It's like, this is a game. So if like at any point the incremental value stops being fun, just be like, that's not for me. Like, play the game in the way that's fun for you and life-giving for you specifically. And sometimes it's just not the most optimal thing.
Totally.
Don't play Cyclonic Rift if you don't want to own a Cyc Rift or spend whatever it costs to buy that card right now. Like, it's okay. But you also have to like be okay with the fact that someone else will play the Cyc Rift and beat you because they had a card that was worth more money. And like, you can't choose to be mad about that, but also like accept, like, you just have to accept what's there.
Totally.
A lot of that, like playing to your outs, is just accepting reality and being like, what's the best thing or the most fun thing I can do right now?
Yeah, man. Meet reality on reality's terms.
Yeah.
You want to see an interesting example of being able to pivot to your outs to make sure your strategy changes or whatever? We have a video on our channel from one of our, I believe it's our first, the one we did of the Thought Clash Live, where it was myself piloting Sir Gwyn, and I was holding Boros Charm. Boros Charm is in 90% of the scenario, especially for Commander, used on its modes of either giving something double strike or giving your board indestructible. Very rarely does the 4 to a player ever matter, but if you watch, I guess spoilers for the end of that video if you've either seen it or not, but if you have not, the 4 damage to face was the pivot of that game that gave me the win. So,
honestly, I feel like the charms and like modal spells is a great example of this because it gives you flexibility and gives you outs. Like, you're not going to need every one of those modes every time, but when you need one of them, you want to have it. So
Yeah.
I'm with you there. I love a good charm.
What is the title of this? Play Boros Charm?
Play Boros Charm. I think that's the title here.
That's honestly, most of the charms are really sick cards. Those are all
sweet.
Actually, Azorius Charm is probably bad. I don't even know what it does, but it's probably a bad card.
There's I think 4 or 5 of them are good.
Yeah, you're right.
Of the Ravnica charms. But this actually will segue me perfectly into my second point here, which is a riff on a quote from Wayne Gretzky. So it's, you miss 100% of the spells you don't cast. So the quote is typically you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But I think in this case, it's really easy to start playing out like the script of what's going to happen in your mind and get paralyzed by, okay, well, they probably are going to counter this, or if I play this, then this is going to happen, and all, whatever. And you just start playing out a theoretical game in your mind, when what you need to do is just take the shot. Like, you need to just cast the spell and see what happens, because it's probably not going to be exactly what you think is going to happen. And it ties back into playing tier outs. Like, almost all of these will lead back into like, just play the game. Like, just see what's going to happen. Play it. Do the best thing you can. Set yourself up for the best possible scenario that you can. And sometimes that means like, okay, I think they have a counter spell, and I just have to cast this anyway. I have to make them have it. Like, you have to just kind of go for it.
You either live the rest of the game in fear that they're going to counter your thing, or you just let them do it.
Totally. Or you just take the shot. Like, see what happens.
You either die the hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain as well.
100%. Yes. Another one of my favorite statistics along with this. I'm a huge statistics guy, so this will play a lot into a lot of my ideals here and strategies. Michael Jordan, who a lot would argue is the greatest basketball player of all time. Do you guys know what his percentage of sinking a basket from outside of the layup range was? Greatest of all time. What do you think his field goal percentage was?
It's the stat like versus the amount of shots he missed from the same distance?
Yes. It's when he shot a basket, how often did it go in?
It's a percentile between 0 and 100?
Yes. Greatest of all time.
The jokester in me wants to say one number, but I probably shouldn't. So
I'll just tell you, it's 53%.
Oh, wow. That's so high.
Shockingly low. Oh, high?
It's so high because it's more than half.
Right. Well, that's what I mean, though, is like, what that means is that the greatest basketball player of all time missed half the shots that he made and is still considered to be the greatest. And I think that applies greatly here, because you're not going to win 100% of the time. And your spell is not going to resolve 100% of the time.
Not with that attitude, you're not.
Well, you can hedge your bets. You can have your Caverns of Souls. You can have your Rhythms of the Wilds and things like that are going to help you, which also leads back into playing to your outs and diversifying yourself. But yeah, I think like expectations, I think, is one of the biggest thing that I've grown in as a Magic player and as a person, is setting your expectations correctly. For like, if you're playing in a game of Commander, there's, like you said, Jared, there's 4 people at the table who are trying to win. Your win percentage should be around 25%. Like, if you're above 25% in any given pod with any given deck, that's really high. Like, you're going to lose 75% of the time and still be in a very high winning percentage for the scenario. Like, even, people like LSV or Brian Kibler or these pro players at the at pro tours and conventions and the Grand Prix and all of those, they're looking for 54% win percentage, because when you sit down at a table with one other person, somebody's going to lose one of those games every single time. And I know that there are niche cases, John, where there are cards that say the game ends in a draw. I know what you're about to pull out here.
That was some brother versus brother stuff. That was sick.
I wear the glasses so I could do actually.
Actually.
They're just a prop.
What's the card that says the game ends in a draw?
There's a few.
has perfect vision, can see into the future. He's the oracle. He's the
celestial convergence. I think it's called. It's not even modern legal.
In any case where you're not playing celestial convergence, you're going to lose probably 50% of the time. And what makes the difference between a pro player and somebody who is just playing at a casual table is a difference of like 2 or 3%. That's an insanely low number of hedging bets and playing to your outs that gets you from being an intermediate player to being a pro player. So I'm a big fan of that. So you miss 100% of the spells you don't cast. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, Joseph Rubino. This is the tier list.
That's the tier list.
It is. Yeah. You can put all of these.
Watching myself do that on OBS was so trippy. I was
it's like you're diagramming a sentence.
I would put that on a t-shirt with descending quotation.
Bro, please. I need that on a playmat. Big part of that one is being okay with losing and starting enjoying losing and finding joy in losing games is when you set your expectations correctly. Like if I go, there's a 25% chance that I'm going to win this game when I sit down at a commander table, I'll probably be fine with losing. If I go in and I'm like, go ahead.
I would argue losing helps you identify where the strong points of your deck are. To be honest, if you find that you're winning all the time, you're never going to see what's bad in your 100%. Deck.
Would you say that if it's worth doing, it's worth evaluating, John?
Oh,
which is potentially my third point.
Joseph, I have something goes right in line with this.
Yeah, dude. That's my third point is if it's worth doing, it's worth evaluating. And the way that you evaluate is by losing, by making mistakes, by tripping up. And like, we've all been the person at the table who's playing a new combo and you're like, okay, next thing I need to do, I need to draw this card. And then if I play this and then I hold priority and then
anyone who has like had the joy of piloting my Derevi deck just for fun that isn't me knows how this feels because it has like 6 different lines you can take to win or more. There's probably some in there that I've never even discovered, but
right.
I remember when our friend Seth was playing it that one time and the deck I was playing had already lost in that pod. So I was like, I'll just see what Seth has going on since he's playing with my deck and is probably confused as to what is supposed to happen next. And that was exactly it. I just like peeked over and I was able to help him find, I'm like, oh yeah, this card does this, blah, blah, blah. But yeah. It was all that happening.
So to John's point, losing is a great way of understanding what needs to happen next. Like how you can start reshifting the strategy or diversifying your strategy so that you have more outs, so that you have more threats, so that you have more diversity. I'm a huge evaluator. I don't think that I need to go too deep into how this helps me in life or what I've learned about this, but like any time that I can, I love stopping and reevaluating things and just going like, okay, what are we working with here? Like, is this a winning hand? Is this a fun hand? Like, what are we doing here? That's like one of my favorite things to do.
I love that.
It definitely helps me get out of spirals where like, if I'm just, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if you get stuck in any of those spirals, just like hard stopping and going, okay, I'm going to stop this cycle of just spiral and despair. And I'm just going to evaluate what's going on and try to figure out what's the next best thing to do. And that will help get you out of life spirals, but also will help get you out of magic spirals. Time spirals, some would say.
I had written down here, everything worth doing is worth doing with other people. So, which is very similar as a concept, but not necessarily as an exact idea.
Yeah. Hold on to that for my fourth point.
I'll hold on to that, but I do want to talk about survivorship bias real quick if you guys
are down. Ooh, I like it.
So survivorship bias is, for anyone not familiar, it's the concept that typically you only hear the knowledge and opinions of people that have won or succeeded. And you never get to, like, the information of the people who have undergone the failure and had to learn from the mistake almost never gets to see the light of day. In most things, this is way beyond, survivorship bias is a psychological thing. It's way beyond just this game. So
isn't there some like quote about like history is written by the victors?
Oh yes.
history, the literal history books we use to educate ourselves are like just a story of survivorship bias, and whoever won the most got to tell the story the way they wanted to, which is like why so much of what we know about America today, or even people like Christopher Columbus, and like I remember, like in my lifetime, we have undergone the change of like Christopher Columbus being kind of hailed as a hero to like, oh, that guy kind of was a terrible person.
He was a genocidal maniac.
Like we, or at least I learned this, and like that was information that I had to change that I knew, because I got to learn more over time, because the story of the people that actually like had to be on the downside of that came out eventually. And there's a lot more, like I would say in the grander scheme of things, the more we get to allow people to use their voice that aren't just the winners, like the more we all benefit and the more we all get to learn, because a lot of the times people that get to the top of anything get to the top because of good timing and luck, and hopefully there was skill and preparation mixed into those two things, but those aren't always
such a small
true.
Percentage.
Sometimes, like, especially because Joseph and you and I are like very in the music world. We both live in Nashville. We have worked in the music space for like most of our adult careers in some capacity, and like seeing the people that get the big breaks versus the people that, like, some artists I know like are so talented, more talented than people that are on the radio or on YouTube, people that are names that you know, like you might never hear some of these artists ever play a show because they'll never make it big. And it's not a fair part of the world, but that is survivorship bias. And like, if we can make a space to learn from each other, if we aren't the biggest personality or the most reputable person in the room, and just respect what we all have to say and we all bring to the table, we all get to win. And I think that's super sick.
Yeah.
So
love
so
that.
So relatable to like how we're kind of doing this thing here right now, you know? It's like our likelihood as a channel growing in 2024, slim. You know, we missed it. We missed the YouTube boat like 10 years ago, technically speaking.
Right. But the second best time to do anything is today.
Exactly.
We got so many quotes today. I could keep going for hours. No, seriously though. I mean, that leans back into like, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Like,
yeah,
you're right. If we just decide that we're not going to grow as a channel and that we're not going to have a break and that we're not going to get sponsorships and all those things, we definitely won't. Or we could just take the shot and see what happens. Like,
John, I love that you brought up our channel, because like if we used, like, we've been making content for this MTG Thoughtcast entity for like over a year, close to a year now. I don't know.
We're closing in on a year. I think July will be a year.
Gotcha. So we're almost at a year, and like,
yeah, but we've been talking about it for at least a year.
Yes. So it's been in the works for at least that long. And if we like let ourselves get discouraged by like the videos that only have literally 1 or 2 views, and they might have been like us watching it, like a actual negative amount of views.
Yeah.
like if we let those discourage us from ever like pushing past that and moving forward, or like maybe some of those videos just weren't super great and we had to learn how to make better content, and now we get videos like our Mothman video that have over 1,000 views, and that's like insane. Like if you compare, it's like that video is doing over 1,000 times better than like the first couple of videos we put on our channel combined.
Yeah,
that's exponential growth. And if we can like appreciate the small amounts of growth,
for sure,
the small progress,
and what you don't get to see, what the average viewer doesn't get to see, is us evaluating after we post a video and going like, okay, I think this one did well because of this thing, and us like fighting for our ideas and like constantly going back and going, okay, what can we do better? How can we get a better camera for Jared that doesn't flash? How can we get John a better camera? How can we get John a better computer? Like all these things that are like, we're only seeing success and growth in what I would consider success and growth for ourselves and in our channel, because we're evaluating. And it's this exact same way with Magic, where like if you are looking for success in your deck building and success in your play style, it's going to require constant evaluation and constant going back and understanding, what did I do wrong? What did I do right? Those are the two questions to be asking yourselves after everything. When you win, definitely celebrate your wins. Like, I'm completely saying celebrate your wins 100%. However, don't get stuck there. Don't just go like, cool, I won. All right, on to the next thing. Like, why did you win? What was the thing that got you that win? Could it have been more efficient? Were you, did you have to pivot in this thing? Is there a missing piece of the puzzle somewhere along your strategy? Like, all of these things are questions to be asking yourselves that will lead into going back, tweaking decks to get those tiny little percentages that get you from being intermediate to being pro.
Dude, facts. That was sick. I really like that point.
Another part of the evaluation, and back to your point that I told you to put a pin in, Jared, is the community aspect of it. So I have it written down in the corniest way that I possibly could, which is the gathering is the magic.
The magic is the friends you made along the way.
100%. Yes.
It's so true. It's actually so true. I mean, I say that as a joke because it's a funny thing that we often say on this podcast, but I mean it.
Yeah. Community over everything. That's where I'm at in my life, in this game. Like, the Thoughtcast is a huge part of why I'm so obsessed with this game still. Like, it's brought me so much life and joy to be able to have a community to revel in this hobby that I'm obsessed with. And I spent a lot of years just being the guy sitting at home alone on Arena or on, going to the LGS every once in a while, never made any friends through it. So having a community like this has been huge for me. And being able to go like, hey, I'm thinking about this deck. Let's talk strategy for it. Like, getting other eyes on it. You also, Jared, you talked about lending one of your decks and like playing against it, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like. I have never learned more about my decks and my strategy and my deck building than watching somebody else play a deck that I've built and going, oh, that's what this does. Like, or oh, like, you're really like spinning the wheels at this point. I have 26 cards that only draw a card in this deck. I should probably cut that number down a little bit. Things like that. Like, having a community to be able to bounce ideas off of is another one of those marginal percentages that's going to get you to being a better player.
That is so true. The note I had written down, like, everything worth doing is worth doing with someone else or other people in general. And I as a triplet, I think I kind of over-identify with the aspect of built-in community because I've literally shared my existence with two other people since my inception. So that's a different thing for me than it is for other people. But
that's the funniest way to describe triplets that I've ever heard.
It's true though. We're not identical, but we've literally like been around since the time that we've been around together. And because of that, like, my brain is kind of hardwired for groups and like settings of people instead of like individual like me. I think of myself often in the context of like the people that I know. And what are we except for like the collective experience of everything that we know? So oftentimes that is like the group of people.
Casual.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, do we exist if no one knows that we exist? I don't know.
Does a bear shit in the woods?
I don't know. Who knows? Getting a little philosophical here, but
I love it, dude. I love that you're as into philosophy as I am.
Bro, this is my stuff. I actually love talking about these kind of things and like the more bigger picture overarching things of gameplay. And like, a very tangible game version of this is like when I've built decks with people via our Discord, like Joseph, when you and I put together Ramos, that was the first time I've really ever, like, I've always obviously gotten input from people on decks I've built before, but I've never sat down and been like, I want to build a 5-color deck, but I really do not know how. And I know I need like at least the help of one other person who really understands this game to make this work the way I wanted to, because I knew it was going to be a large investment and I wanted it to work. So Ramos is a deck that I really love playing. Sorry to everyone who hates playing against it. I know it's kind of crazy, but that's Cascade. It's not my fault that Cascade is broken. That's Wizards of the Coast's fault. So take that up with them. But yeah, so I love that deck, and part of the reason why I love it is because Joseph and I built it together, and it has a certain flavor that decks that I built on my own don't have, because he has a totally different way of thinking about and playing this game that made its influence on the way that deck came together. So
you wouldn't have Colossal Sky Turtle in the deck if it was not for that night, that fateful night.
Yeah, so that's a great point. Joseph had to sell me on Colossal Sky Turtle. That card is awesome.
Rules, dude. It rules.
I hated it. I actually love that card now. I hated it purely because I thought Sky Turtles were dumb. I'm just
what's the story I'm missing here?
So Jared's building this Cascade deck, and when he presented his deck to me, it had like counter spells and Rhystic Study and like all of the, the things that Jared puts into decks. And it was just a pile of good stuff, but had zero synergy.
Exactly. So imagine my upgrade list for that one precon.
Yeah. Go back to the Surveil precon. It was basically that.
It was that.
And I was like, hey, if you're doing Cascade, like what if we throw in some cool things that will get passed by when you Cascade that you'll have the ability to use for cheaper? So it was things like Beanstalk Giant, Greater Tanuki, and Colossal Sky Turtle were the three like channel or adventure cards like that. And Jared was like, no, those all suck, dude. Those are all awful. And then I was like,
those are all three cards that are amazing in that deck, and I love playing them now. And it wasn't that I thought they were bad and didn't include them in the first run of that deck. It's just that they weren't on my radar. Like, you need someone else's perspective to help you like do things in a way that you're not used to doing them, or at least help you feel comfortable enough to try a new way to do it. And
Jared's reading the cards and go, does this have Cascade on it? Nope, trash.
Literally, or like, is it one of the like best cards in this color, or like blah blah blah, or like Joseph explaining to me how like counter spells in this deck are really bad because of the way that Cascade works, and me not
like you literally will have to counter the Cascade spell. If you Cascade into a counter spell, it has to have a legal target, and unfortunately, it's the original spell that cascaded.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That's a horrible plan. So yeah, his collaboration on that is what allowed that deck to be so much better. I'm sorry, everyone who's played it.
John, you have a unique edge because you have a spouse that plays as well, which Jared and I do not have.
Unfortunately, we do not have that.
Yes, I have somehow sucked my wife down into playing Magic with us as well.
Yeah.
I was for a very long time, and she is, and that's really cool. We get to bounce off of each other as far as deck construction and having feedback on each other. I obviously, as someone who is dived into the game, I'd say more so than her. She's just as experienced on play patterns as me, but obviously I have a little bit more of like the structure on how to deck build, and
hard
then
to beat the Oracle.
It's hard to be the Oracle, yeah. He knows what he's talking about. But on the other end of that, and it's a perfectly honest, because I've said it before, I'm perfectly honest on myself. I know how to build the structure of a deck. My wife, Carissa, she knows how to make a fun deck. Honestly, her decks are way funner than mine.
Bro, she's the flavor queen.
She loves it. I'm out here doing the strong synergistic things of like, here's my Aloro, his Esper, he's got the best card draw, the best removals. I play Rats, I've got all the fun planeswalkers. And then my wife's over here, she's got the really fun ones that like, if like I've done this before, if I'm trying to show somebody newer on how to play, like, cause our card shop every once in a while gets new people who are interested to learn how to play Commander every once in a while. I'm not handing them one of mine. My decks are kind of a little too strong for that kind of thing. I've got a few janky ones, but she's got the fun builds. It's like, ooh, you want to learn how to play? Here's Cats and Dogs. Here's Angels and Demon Tribal. Here's Super Friends that I just posted a deck tech about. You should watch that. It's really cool.
Watch it.
She knows how to build fun. I know how to build strategize. Wow, English is very hard.
Strategy.
So strategy.
My favorite, strategy.
But that makes us two coherent halves of a brain that can put ourselves together and be like, okay, what can we construct together that has a fun and synergistic balance with each other? And that's what I enjoy about being able to play with her. And then we bring that energy to like our card shop and our game nights that we go to like bi-weekly with our other friends and stuff like that, you know?
Dude,
Dude, I love that.
That's awesome.
It's what I'm getting from all of this is that balance is a really important part of all of it as well. Like all of these things tie into having a very balanced brain. And it's really hard to do that on your own. It's really hard to have balance when you don't have somebody else evaluating the thing to be balanced with you. So between having, a spouse or the Thoughtcast community or, a regular play group or any of these things that are both challenging you and pushing you to be better, but also balancing you and going like, hey, maybe like step back and have fun for a second. Are you still having fun with this? Like, do you need a second? Do you need a breather? Like, these
arena, I feel like the arena pop up. Are you having fun?
Are you having fun? I need that in my life, dude. Because sometimes I'm like, no, I am straight up not having fun right now.
I just had written down here, like, in regards to like anything worth doing is worth doing with other people. Like, in the context of a card game, like that looks like if I won every single game from here on out, but I lost my entire play group because no one enjoyed playing with me anymore. This is a thing that's kind of happened to me in the past with other games, by the way. So like I've actually learned this lesson. This is not just a hypothetical. Like I'm very good at chess. I know this. I have played a lot of people in chess in my life to the point where they don't want to play chess with me anymore.
Who's beaten you a few times, Jared?
My boy Joseph.
That bishop from the rafters. I think about that all the time, bro.
We got to watch those diagonals. But yeah, and also Yu-Gi-Oh! Before this, like both of my brothers had to endure me like being a spike playing Yu-Gi-Oh! While we were all doing that together. And that's something that eventually led to us stopping playing the game together because I didn't know how to pump the brakes and like stop optimizing and stop playing the best to the point where I had to stop playing the game because nobody wanted to play with someone who was just trying to win every single time, no matter what happened.
John, how many times have you been told to stop playing Brago?
Way too many times. Honestly, Brago hasn't come out in ages.
Wonder why.
It was because it's I don't know. It's the thing is now is like I think at the time it was the most powerful thing I was doing.
Yes.
I haven't touched it again since, though, and it has since gotten powered out of anything. It doesn't win anymore. So I would argue that I could probably play it again and be perfectly fine because it's so outclassed now.
Bring it out on the next Thought Clash.
Dude, I would love to play against it.
Break out Brago.
It could absolutely still combo out of nowhere, but like it's running stuff from 6 years ago. It's just outclassed now.
That's so true. The inverse of that hypothetical scenario / real scenario I found myself in is if you lose every single game for the rest of your life, but you have a blast doing it and everyone else has a blast doing that with you, like you are overall going to have a way better time. Because like, what's the point of a game? It's to entertain you and it's to make you have fun. So like if you take everything else away from Magic the Gathering and say like this is an opportunity for me to spend time with people I love and have fun doing that, like those are your guideposts for like how to play that game and how to do it well. Is like everything has to actually fit into those two boxes and not like winning the game. Notice how winning the game doesn't even come up when you boil it down that much, because it's not about that. It's just about spending time with people and like having a great time doing that. So with that kind of mentality flip, you can totally change the way you experience this game.
That's where the is in Magic the Gathering. You have the magic, you've got gathering, everything else in between, the.
I would argue that it's the colon, because it's magic, the gathering. I would say that the magic is the vehicle with which we get to the gathering, but it could be work, the gathering. It could be church, the gathering. It could be
Magic, Smuggler's
softball.
Copter the Gathering.
Yeah, it's like anything that is a vehicle for you to get to community, I would say is worth doing.
Yeah. And just be a person that other people want to do that thing with, and you're going to win. Like, that is the bottom line.
So, Joseph, where can we find these people that we could do the gathering with the magic and the colon?
If you look at the description on this video, there's going to be a link to our Discord, and you can just hop on there. It's totally free. I don't want your money. Get out of here with that. Go throw your money at something else. I just want to hang out with you. I want to play Magic with people. I want to talk about Magic with people.
Let's go.
Come hang out on our Discord.
We're having a blast. You should come have a blast with us.
Absolutely.
We have great game nights. You know,
they're the best.
L Table's been so great to been playing with all of y'all there. We had a great game the other evening. I was talking about that. I had Battle Cruiser on the mind earlier this thing. You know, we had a great one the other evening. Sirac just like
Sirac is crazy.
I love it, man. Yeah, but I think that about wraps us up for today. This is a great little talk, a little sidebar, because WotC has loosened their noose on us content creators and given us a slight break from spoilers. So
Straight up.
They've loosened the leash to allow us to talk about whatever we want for a second. Well, if you guys like this content or didn't like this content, let us know in the comments below.
If there's
all 13 of you that watched this,
yes, John, you make it 1.8K.
I'm kidding. We appreciate every single one of you who has been here to enjoy our stuff.
Totally. Thanks for watching.
Any other topics like this, just let us know in the comments or in our Discord that you should definitely join.
Totally. On the contrary, I love talking about this kind of stuff.
This is actually my preferred style of video, so please suggest more stuff like this.
If you don't like this video, we have other stuff on our channel we do as well. We do deck techs. We post our gameplay videos every once in a while. I make memes for kicks.
I love it.
He's the meme lord.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, all to say, thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. This has been the MTG Thoughtcast, episode 19. We're out of here. See ya.